Welcome to a Full Force Movie News Burst special brought to you by GeneralsJoes Reborn.com with me, Christopher McLeod aka Diagnostic80 and Justin GeneralsJoes Bell. Another solid week of movie news means you're getting another separate weekly roundup. Yes, it's the Full Force Movie News Burst special. Swing.
The only reason I agree to do these separately is just so you have to edit more. That's like, I'm just punishing you.
I'll tell you what, so much going on this week. It was every day. It was like, oh, another 3 news bursts I've got to do. I think I had a look the other day to see how many, between weeklies, how many news bursts have been done the most. I think the record is 11, where I've done 11 news bursts between the 2 weekly episodes, and it was just recently as well.
That's insane.
Right, mate. Should we get stuck into some of this news?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All of it.
I'm all keyed up about the Snake Eyes movie. Let's get it rolling.
Swing.
Yeah.
In Henry Golding news, yes, Mr. Golding has been busy this week. Last weekend he shared a brand new poster for the Snake Eyes movie that pictured his face surrounded by a lot of blades, and then earlier in the week he dropped a very cool video on his Instagram Reels showing off his sword fighting skills with a caption that hinted at a full trailer coming soon. More on that later. He also made an appearance on Good Morning America where he discussed Snake Eyes in quite a bit of detail, although nothing really came out of that interview that he hasn't already told Justin and I previously. Yeah, I'm still smug about that. Exciting stuff, Justin. Are you ready? Are you ready for this new trailer?
Yeah, I am really ready. I mean, we've spent months and months complaining that we didn't have a trailer at all, and then like probably 30 seconds after we saw the first one, we're like, okay, now we're ready for the real one, for the long one, and it sounds like it's coming.
It is, and obviously more news came out later this week, which we'll get to eventually, that does actually give us a release date for it. So, spoiler alert, we'll be talking about that later.
Yes.
Of all the, there's been a lot of Snake Eyes activity this week, especially. But you know that post that came out where it was like his face covered in blades. I mean, that's interesting. That looks like it's probably going to be in the film at some point, or it could just be. It could be in a Real American Hero cover where it doesn't actually happen inside the story. Yeah,
I mean, or it could be some kind of symbolism. I'm not sure exactly where that's coming from. I mean, it kind of the way the swords are positioned, it's almost kind of corresponds to how his face was scarred a little bit. But I don't know if I'm probably looking way too deep into it. I think they probably just wanted let's just put his face with a bunch of swords, and that was about it. But yeah, it's a pretty striking image for sure.
That's where he gets his disfigurement. He's just going to run through that.
They're going to put a bunch of swords, just going to ram his face into it.
Just headbutt this, yeah. That'll be how he gets his face disfigured. We'll talk about the new trailer a bit later on. But we also had, he appeared on GMA and he did like an interview on there too. But again, nothing really came out. He did talk a little bit more details about the actual structure of his day. How did you see how much time he was spending on like training? It was like 4 hours a day, then a break, and then back on it again, where he trained in like on his own, as well, like extra. Yeah. I mean, that's dedication, isn't it?
It is, and I don't think people necessarily appreciate, like, especially for people who are in these action movies, exactly what it takes to kind of do some of this stuff. I mean, everybody's like, oh, Hollywood actors, they just kind of waltz on set and speak a few lines and get millions of dollars. But in a lot of cases, especially with the action films, it is a lot of work. I mean, he's doing 8 hours of training, and then he's probably, while the movie was going, he was actually shooting, and sometimes they're up until, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, flying all over the world. I mean, it's certainly, there's a lot of worst jobs that he could be doing. But yeah, I mean, it's clearly put a lot of work to try to get, kind of into shape and ready to go. So it's pretty crazy.
What amazes me is that he's never done anything like that before as well. Like he had a little bit of like, experience with Muay Thai and a little bit of boxing stuff, but again, not much. And then to go in there and have to learn all these choreographed moves. And from looking at the trailer, or the trailer we've seen so far, the teaser trailer, he does look like a natural at it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he clearly, I mean, not only is he training as far as like strength and conditioning, but obviously, sword combat, martial arts. And yeah, especially with what he said during our interviews where, they didn't use a whole lot of stuntmen. It's pretty crazy how quickly you can kind of get your body, just train it to do some stuff like that. I mean, that is pretty crazy stuff. It's really impressive.
That's what it takes to become Snake Eyes, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, they say Snake Eyes like trained all his life. All he needed to do was a Hollywood stuntman and like 6 months, and he's good to go. I
Done.
don't see what's so great.
No worries.
Yeah.
Okay, well, related to, well, more Snake Eyes news obviously coming up. And this is something that I kind of found quite funny as well as a little bit frustrating. But then on top of it all, in the end, I wasn't that bothered. But that is Complexland 2.0. The official Snake Eyes Movie Instagram account has also been busy this week. They posted an intriguing story revealing that exclusive Snake Eyes merch would be coming to the online virtual event, Complexland 2.0. Well, it did, and we both failed at getting the drops dramatically. It was fun to navigate the Lawnmower Man meets Network meets basic PlayStation game website and watch fun vids and explore all the merch we couldn't afford, but in the end, we came up empty-handed. We were able to download that gorgeous movie poster from DragonArt76 though, so it wasn't all sadness and woe. Justin, how was your experience, mate?
Bizarre. I mean, I hopped into the website and yeah, it showed up as like a little avatar, and then I could customize him a little bit, and then there was all these other, like you could go to like a shoe store and a little theater and kind of wander around, and then I finally found where Snake Eyes was and kind of hung out, and it said, stay here for the drop or whatever.
This
and
time, like 3 hours. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then when it happened, it popped up this 10-minute timer, and it's like, get back to I don't even remember what area it was, but get back to some area. And I'm like, oh crap. And I had to figure out like where to go and then I finally got there, and I saw this little like spinning cube with a t-shirt in it, and I clicked it, and then I don't know, something happened and it disappeared and I didn't get anything, and I was...
What annoyed me was that it said to me, you got the drop, and I was like, oh, brilliant. And it sent me to this other page, like a white page with like, as if you're about to kind of order it and like, all that kind of stuff. There was nothing on it, and it said $0. And I'm like, okay. And then waited a little bit. And then it just went back to the screen. I was at the welcome the area. And I'm like, what?
What happened?
So then the timer was going again for like another 10 minutes. So I go back and I'm like, I've got to wait 10 minutes for it again. So I waited 10 minutes, sitting there, standing next to Snake Eyes avatar, just kind of like, am I doing it right? Am I doing this right? And then it timed out and said, that's it, you didn't get it. I'm like, oh man. And then the next one wasn't till like much later the next day or something. Completely forgot that was happening. Missed that.
Yeah, me too.
Missed it completely. And then I think there's one again today at like 4:30 or something like that Eastern time.
Oh, is there?
Apparently so, yes. This is the last day for it. So I'm going to try one more time, maybe, if I remember. But yeah, I was kind of like, oh, well, no big loss.
Well, I was just going to say, the funny thing is, I mean, it looked like a pretty generic T-shirt. I mean, probably not if I was in Target and I saw it on the shelves, I may not even buy it. But because it was in this little spinning cube and they like had this whole big thing surrounding it, I was like, oh, I gotta have that, even though I don't really have to have it. So it's funny the way they kind of ramp up expectations and get people all fired up and kind of ratchet up popularity just based on this perceived scarcity of just being in the right place at the right 10-minute window. But
I mean, this is like what the sneaker world has become almost completely, isn't it? This kind of like exclusivity and apps that you can't seem to download. You can't seem to buy anything. People are buying like shit sneakers that aren't their sizes just so they can sell them on again on the secondary market. And it just seems like such a redundant kind of pointless thing. But at the same time, I'm there kind of going, God, I really want those. God, I really want that. And it creates that exclusivity kind of feeling around something that you wouldn't give a second glance to if it didn't have a Snake Eyes logo on it.
I know. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and it's kind of funny. You can kind of see some of that sort of leaking out into the action figure realm with the whole Target phenomenon and stuff like that. And thankfully, things look a little bit better there. But yeah, there is, whether it's a combination. I mean, the sneaker market has been like this for a while, so you can't really say that's a result of this COVID stuff like the action figure situation probably is. But it's really fascinating, and I've always been. I've heard of this sort of stuff happening in the past. Like there's this company named Mondo who does these limited edition posters, and you've got to be in the right place at the right time to order them. And I just always kind of was like, I'm never going to be interested enough in something to go through all of that for it. But we
tried
Network for the Cobra Commander. We did it. We tried it this time with the T-shirt, and oh well. I'm just glad it wasn't like a action figure or something. I might
on the previous weekly that you may already have seen before this one. Paul Pamphilone, who joined us in like kind of filling in for Pat, who's on his jollies at the moment. He actually said it looks like being inside the Network app. That's what it's like. It's like you just lawnmower manned yourself inside the Network app, and that kind of is what it was. It was all the exclusive brands that you just don't give a crap about any other time. And I was like wandering around looking, oh, those sneakers look cool. I'm not going to buy them. I'm not going to be spending $300 on this or $800 on that. Or it was just so much expensive exclusive stuff that I'll let the youngins enjoy those.
In a way, it's funny. It kind of reminds me of being at JoeCon in a way, because you would get in that line for the JoeCon exclusives. You'd have no idea what they were going to be before you went to the show. Then you go to the show and he, lifts them all up and shows, and everybody's like, ooh, ah, and even stuff you don't really care about that's like $120, just like, I need 3 of those, because I'm here and I'm going to get it and nobody else is. And so I got to take advantage of this. And it really gives off kind of that same vibe.
The anxiety it builds is unreal, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. This whole FOMO, fear of missing out or whatever, I'm here in the lobby. They've got it all for sale. If I don't get it now, I'm never going to get it, and I have to get it. So
it's hilarious to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was basically, we've just described Complexland 2.0.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Again, last day for it is today, which unfortunately will be too late for you if you're watching this. Last day was yesterday if you're watching this. But yeah, we'll try one more time, Justin, but I've got a feeling we're probably not going to get the drop. Next up, we have an MPA ratings news. Yes, the Motion Picture Association have officially rated the Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins movie as PG-13 for sequences of strong violence and brief strong language. This means Justin will have to accompany me to the screening.
I'll be putting my hands over your ears while they're saying, damn it.
As soon as it drops, Justin and I will be breaking it down for another special episode. But for now, Justin, are you happy there will be violence and naughty words in the movie?
Oh, yes. Very happy. Well, I think this is expected. I mean, they weren't going to rate it R. Hardly anything with any semblance of violence these days gets rated PG. So I think PG-13 was sort of the natural place for it to fall. So yeah, it doesn't really surprise me. And I think that's pretty expected.
Do you remember when 15 was like kind of a little bit taboo in terms of rating, and then 18 was just like, yeah, that's a next level. Like, R-rated back then was you had to be almost banned.
Well, I mean, in some ways, yeah, but in other ways, like, I can remember seeing some R-rated movies back in the day that probably could get away with a PG-13 these days.
Yeah, like Toxic Avengers, those kind of things.
Yeah, exactly, and ironically, like, it's mostly the language or nudity or stuff like that ends up getting things rated R. It's not even like you can have people's heads getting cut off and stuff like that, and it's still okay for PG-13. But if you drop an F-bomb, then nope, you're rated R. I mean, it's kind of silly, but yeah, I mean, it's a different landscape, and it's kind of interesting too, because now that you have streaming services everywhere, who knows what I've got 2 daughters that each have their own like little Netflix account, and yeah, the youngest one, who's 11, has hers set to the kids setting, so she only gets the kid shows, but the 15-year-old, who knows what she's watching. But
I saw like Deadpool 2, Logan.
She's got no interest. I was talking to her about she heard about Loki, so she was asking me about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I was trying to explain it to her. She's like, so it's not even real. I'm like, it's fantasy, science fiction, so it couldn't really happen in real life. I'm like, no, it's so stupid.
Oh, so it's just wow. So she's only into things like, I don't know, Star Wars then?
No, not that either. No, she's very much a real world kind of kid.
That's interesting. But it's just funny when I hear PG-13. I don't necessarily go to like violence and language and stuff. Like in my head, that was like PG. When I hear that, it was like the most. It was almost like I don't even know what they could have put in there to make it not universal back then, because it was like which was like for everybody, and then PG was like, you know, just, you know, you needed, your parents needed to buy it for you, but effectively you could watch it, no worries. There was nothing really bad on there. And then 15 was where it started getting like a little bit naughty.
So that must have been like UK ratings. That's a little bit different than we had over here.
That's what we had in the UK. What did you have?
We had G, which was general audiences, which I think is the same as you. And then we had PG. Then we had PG-13. Then we had R. Then we had NC-17, which was like kind of a little scary. But then it went beyond that to the bad stuff. But
wow. Yeah, we had 15 and 18. 18 was like the R-rated, I think.
Okay.
And then beyond that, it was, you know, that doesn't exist.
I don't really like R. I guess NC-17 and R is like, with R, you could, if you were under 17, you could go with a parent. If it's NC-17 and you couldn't go, even if you had a parent with you. So I mean, and then there was obviously stuff beyond that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think NC-17 even exists anymore. I'm not sure what.
Such a random number
back then.
Isn't
I know.
It? Such a random...
Not for children under 17 or something like that. I think is what it was.
But what point do you change so much at that age that it anyway?
I don't know.
That it doesn't exist anymore. And that's probably why.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, I mean that's the MPA rating for the actual film. They've also rated, I believe, they've rated the trailer, which is coming out on Monday, which we'll talk about next in the next segment. I'm guessing it's the same. I'm guessing it's PG-13 trailer, but I'm not sure how that works because they have to show it at a certain time on TV. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah. I'm not sure how they effectively rate trailers, but yeah, I would think if it's PG-13, it would only be shown. You couldn't show it like, you know, in the middle of the afternoon or something when some impressionable child might see a guy in a black uniform swinging a sword around. Or
like
whatever.
Me, you don't mean seeing that.
Exactly.
But anyway,
just lose your mind.
Well, that is the naughty words and violence part of the show. That's the most you're going to get.
This whole show is naughty words and violence. What are you talking about?
It was a bit of nudity if you'd have tuned in prior to, you know.
Yeah, you guys missed it.
I switched T-shirts, so that was all sorts of sexy. Speaking of which, shout out to Word Burglar for this beauty as well. Thank you, Words.
It's nice.
Yeah, Bergs. Very, very, very cool tee. He just released the Battle Android Trooper homage, the black and yellow, which I wore on the weekly earlier.
Awesome.
Which is nice too. But he also sent me this one, so I thought, you know what, I'll rock both over both episodes just to really ram the point home. Anyway, moving on to the next news item. This is a big one, actually. Paramount Pictures issued a rather packed press release on Thursday regarding the Snake Eyes movie that included a date for their upcoming full trailer on Monday the 21st of June, an announcement for a cast panel at SDCC at Home, hosted by Marie Takahashi, that will feature special content from the film, behind-the-scenes footage and exclusive interviews with stars Henry Golding, Andrew Koji, Ursula Cabero, Samara Weaving, Haruka Abe, Takehiro Hira, Peter Mensah and Iko Uwais, and writer of the G.I. Joe comics Larry Hama. The press release also mentioned a special advanced fans first premiere in 10 cities across the US and Canada on Wednesday the 21st of July. The special screenings will take place in LA, New York, San Francisco, Washington DC, Seattle, Miami, San Diego, Houston, Phoenix and Vancouver. No details on how to get involved with that just yet, but keep it locked over on the Snake Eyes Movie Instagram for more info coming soon. They also dropped 6 brand new character videos showing brand new footage interspersed with comic panel artwork. Phew! It's been a crazy week for movie fans, Justin.
No kidding. Let's
start with the new footage in those little videos, because that's something we've been wanting to chat about for a while, isn't it?
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised. I mean, I was a little out of touch yesterday morning. I have a day job and was kind of enveloped in data center stuff yesterday. So I saw the news come up and I was like, I want to talk about it, but I couldn't. So I shared it later in the afternoon. But I was a little surprised that there wasn't kind of more response to it across the Joe fandom, because there's a lot of new footage in there, a lot of pretty cool new footage. We saw, Snake Eyes fully uniformed for the first time, swinging a sword, with a mask on and everything, which we hadn't seen before. We saw a great look at Storm Shadow's, costume, the two swords in the sheaths, and he kind of spun around, and a great shot of kind of screaming something, who knows what, but a lot of energy.
You Snake Eyes!
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it was. Then Baroness and Scarlet both. You saw Scarlet firing a crossbow, as well as some machine guns and stuff. I mean, there was a lot of great character-driven footage mixed in there that I was pretty excited about when I saw it, and then I sort of went on and didn't see a lot of other people getting all fired up about it, but I was fired up, and I'm even more fired up about the movie, and I really can't wait for the trailer on Monday. It's going to be
new level. It'll be on a new level.
It'll be a new level, yeah, exactly. As with everything is in the Snake Eyes movie, everything's on a new level.
Complexland was on a new level, wasn't it?
That was a new level down, I think.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that 100%. I think the Baroness video showed tons of new Baroness footage.
Absolutely.
Like, tons. Like her again,
there's a scene of her like rappelling down something that looks really cool.
I think she's holding onto like a pipe, and like like not guttering maybe, but like it's she's kind of like just falling back whilst firing the machine gun, which is dope. But yeah, loads of kind of action-packed stuff with her and Samara Weaving. Yeah, we got some more footage of Eco Weiss as the Hard Master. Yeah, Peter Mensa as well as the Blind Master, kind of getting into character. So there was there's a lot in there from all the videos. I was surprised we didn't have one for Akiko and Kenta, but I wonder if they're holding some back for other characters.
Well, I mean, those things were mostly how they translate from comic to movie, and because Kenta and
very good point
Akiko weren't comic characters, I think that's kind of why they were excluded. But it'd be interesting to see some other features just kind of focusing on them directly. But I think I'm hoping that kind of showed a little or added a little enthusiasm. I've obviously heard a lot of G.I. Joe fans kind of complaining that it's a ninja movie, it's just swords and martial arts, but there's clearly a lot of weapons firing going on between Scarlet and Baroness, so there certainly is, and of course we saw Snake Eyes with his Uzi.
Exactly.
So there are elements of armed combat that aren't just swords in there. So I think that will hopefully give people a little bit more motivation to check it out, and a little bit more excitement around the film. I'm
super stoked just seeing those little video clips, and I imagine we'll see a lot of that footage again in the new trailer on Monday. Let's talk about that. Now, we're going to have to do some sort of trailer breakdown, Justin. That's going to be... Yes. We're going to have to play it by ear because we don't know when it's going to come out. We don't know like what time of the day. Well, we might even... I mean, I can imagine they'll give us a time closer to the time. We might find out on Monday, like it's going to be coming at this time or whatever. I don't know. I'm just really intrigued as to what else they're going to put in there. Because again, we know a lot about the plot from the test screenings, but things could have changed by then, couldn't they? Oh yeah, it's certainly possible. I think that's why they do those test screenings, to kind of see how it lands and make some alterations if people didn't like certain things. So it could be a little bit different than those plot leaks that we've heard already. That's certainly possible. Yeah, I mean, I'm really intrigued, to see kind of what other footage is in there. It's always funny to kind of think about these trailers and to look back on trailer, because just for the heck of it, I've been looking back at some of the Rise of Cobra and Retaliation trailers, and trying to picture in my head, what did they show and how did that relate to the movie? And it's funny because I can remember, especially with Retaliation, just going through those shot by shot by shot and dissecting them and just being like, oh, what does this mean? What does this mean? And then, it doesn't appear or it doesn't make any difference. Exactly. Yeah. Or it's some really teeny scene that didn't really matter or whatever. So, I mean, it's... I do remember vaguely seeing some... when you posted for General's Joe's and when it was on HISSTANK and they were doing a similar thing at the time, wasn't there like a Extensive Enterprises van in the background? Like a TV there was a press conference. Yeah, there was a press conference going on with an Extensive Enterprises van in the background. That was it, though. There was nothing about Extensive Enterprises in the film or anything. It was just that little cute homage, wasn't it? Little Easter egg, yeah. So I'm again very excited to see what we're going to get on Monday. Like I said, we're going to be breaking it down as soon as we can. Also, this cast panel for SDCC sounds really cool. Apparently, they're opening SDCC with this cast panel. Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, cool. So that's like the launch of the whole thing. I think so. I think I read it on IGN. That'll be like the first main panel, I think, that we see. Still no official date and time attached to it, but that's what they mentioned in that, kicking off SDCC with this cast panel. And that's pretty... I mean, that's literally the whole main cast that we've seen so far, isn't it? It's like your Hard Master, your Blind Master, Akiko, Kenta, and then you've got your mains, your Snake Eyes, your Storm Shadow, Lightfoot, Hit and Run, Downtown, Ice Cream Soldier, those guys, yeah?
Those guys, all of them,
Cyber
yes.
Viper.
I think it's Samara Weaving as Ice Cream Soldier.
Think of more random characters that you know. Double Blast. Skid Mark. Trademark in the UK.
Oh, I like Trademark better than Skid Mark.
Trademark is much better than Skid Mark. So I love the Desert Fox as well. That is an amazing vehicle. How did we get onto this conversation? How did we get here? That's ridiculous.
I ask me that every time we're finished with one of these recordings. Like, how did we even get to that point?
How did we get to the Desert Fox? Shout out to Guy Cassaday because he designed that. Well, yeah, okay. Well, SDCC is going to be bonkers. I can imagine loads of exclusives as well. Like, this isn't something we haven't really discussed this yet, but right. SDCC's got to have some sort of G.I. Joe exclusives, hasn't it?
I would think so. I mean, we're still in Yojo June. We've got another, 10, 12 days left before June is over. So I wouldn't be surprised if we hear some kind of announcement about an SDCC exclusive. That would be very cool.
We also know Super 7 have got a big reveal on the 20-something. I've forgotten the date, but I
thought it was July something.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But what I mean is it's going to be around SDCC time. So
they'll probably line it right up with SDCC. Yep, that would make sense.
And we know that reaction figures are coming, so...
Right. Is it reaction? Is it something else? I don't know. Yes, fingers crossed.
Come on.
Speaking as somebody who just dropped, $250 on the Silverhawks pre-order, let's see what's going on here.
Super 7 are killing it, aren't they? Super 7, NECA are doing so many, or most of the toy companies are just cranking some amazing stuff out.
Well, they're pulling stuff from my dreams. I mean, I had growing up, even starting with G.I. Joe. I mean, I was constantly wondering why the Scarlet in the Sunbow cartoon had a ponytail and the figure just had that bowl cut or whatever. I mean, it's been so difficult over the years to get that animation accurate representation in action figure form. And as anybody who's followed my site for a while knows that I love having the characters accurately represented in toy form and in animation or movie. I mean, I really geek out about that. One of the things I loved about Beast Wars back in the 90s, especially with the Transmetals, is that it looked like the toy was coming to life in the cartoon. Yeah. It was a really strong, it was really accurate. And I love that. That's part of the reason why I love the Rise of Cobra action figures. I loved actual scenes from the movie, even if the movie was garbage. I liked seeing the characters come to life in plastic form.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think between NECA and Super 7, they're reaching into those cartoon screens and bringing those characters to life and bringing them home.
Gargoyles is another one from NECA.
Gargoyles, I'm thrilled for Gargoyles. And I mean, I was a little bit too old for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles craze, for the cartoon craze. I loved the Mirage comic, but the cartoon came out at a time while I was in my teen years and looking down my nose at the Turtles cartoon because it was, to me, it was a little silly.
How dare you?
But I've got this shelf full of NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles toys up on my shelf up there because they're cartoon accurate and they look fantastic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, there's something about having that animation come to life in action figure form that just really... it really appeals to me.
Totally, and it's something that G.I. Joe hasn't done yet, really.
No,
we had those decos, slight cartoon decos on that. Was it 5-pack on the USS Flag, and then we had the comic pack. They tried to do some kind of Sunbow decos.
Yeah, and they had the mass device box sets that kind of tried to lean in. They gave Cobra Troopers the white web gear and Lady J without her hat finally to kind of try to mirror some of that Sunbow accuracy, but they've never really gone whole hog, which is kind of bizarre considering just how revolutionary the G.I. Joe brand was in the 80s. I mean, for every Gargoyles cartoon, Gargoyles may have rated here on the popularity meter, and G.I. Joe was here. And that's no offense to Gargoyles, but it was the reality of the 80s, was that G.I. Joe was a 500-pound gorilla, and the fact that nobody's really kind of taken advantage of those animation models and done accurate toys it's pretty surprising. So mean, who knows in this day and age where they're doing that with so many other lines, who knows what might be possible. But I mean, we already know Super 7's doing reactions, so that's kind of what I'm leaning on. But you know, who knows? I mean, maybe we're in for a surprise.
Can't wait. I don't know how the movie special turned into the SDCC Super 7 special, but it has.
Good question. Yeah.
Again, like we're always, yeah, we'll be questioning this forever, won't we? Justin, mate, thanks for once again jumping on, sparing your time, and helping me out with all the movie news this week. It's been tons again.
Oh yeah,
we didn't even talk about that Dragonart 76 poster, which is absolutely gorgeous as well, isn't it?
I know. I got to pick your brain too, because we could download it. I don't know where did you download it?
I'll tell you how to do that. As you wander around that little Neo crossing Snake Eyes area, there's an Arashikage symbol on a plinth with a little plus at the top, right? Click on that little plus and you'll get a side panel come up, and it's like, you know, watch the trailer kind of thing. But then next to that, it's Dragonart 76, and you click on that and you download it.
Nice.
So
okay, thank you. I'm going to try that, because I saw they had like a poll with the poster actually hanging on it, and I clicked all over it to see if I could do anything, and I couldn't.
I was there for ages trying clicking on stuff, going, why isn't anything... Okay, so that is just for visuals. There was like there's like another thing where it's like Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow posters on like almost like a block just randomly stuck on the floor somewhere, and you're just like, nothing works here. I want something to work. It's like the Cobra, there's a Cobra sigil with a plus on it, and that gets you to a trailer. I think one's a trailer, one's a featurette. I can't remember. Gotcha. But yeah, you'll find it eventually.
All right. I'll poke around back in there.
Anyway, that brings us to the end of Complexland special this week. That brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for watching the Full Force... Well, what is it? The Full Force movie special. The Full Force movie news burst special. Massive thank you to my awesome co-host, Justin Bell. See you next time. And as always, after 3, 1, 2, 3... Full Force! Perfect. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.